Hey there, StarCraft fans! It's Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Today, it's going to be a match between Rascal and Rain here on Circuit Breakers. Got this replay off of the foreign Brood War Discord server. Once again, if you want an invite, let me know in the comments, and I will put a link in the description. Bottom right-hand corner, we have the brown Terran player Rascal. I have no idea who this is, you guys. I have searched long and hard for a player named Rascal, an alternate ID named Rascal, or a Smurf name named Rascal on the Liquipedia and on the internet, and come up empty. He's a pretty good player, though. I cast him before, and he's up against, in the top right-hand corner, the blue Protoss player. It is Rain. Hey, Rain we know. Rain is playing under a straight-up name that everybody knows and everybody loves, and everybody, this guy, up-and-coming Protoss player for sure. And it should be a pretty fantastic match here on ye old Circuit Breakers. Now, who's going to come out on top? I don't know. Nobody really does. I haven't watched this in advance, and you haven't either, I have to assume, which is why you're here to watch the Brood War today. Anyway, welcome aboard. Happy to have you here. Remember to hit that like button. Hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you're hearing here today on the channel. Some of my videos are creeping up on 100,000, 150,000 views, and we're sitting around 30,000 subs. So that means some people are watching my stuff quite frequently who are not actually subbing to it, which, I don't know, like YouTube doesn't care about sub numbers, but it helps you know when new Brood War videos are coming out, so who hates that? Who hates being alerted when new Brood War content is here? 3 times a week, by the way. 3 times a week, and strongly considering doing a best of series for next Sunday as a bonus 4th Brood War cast. So, we'll see. We'll see how that works out. If I can find a series to cast, there are some good options. We'll see if anything really catches my fancy when I sit down to cast for what next Sunday's video is going to be. It seems like you guys really enjoyed that Pure versus Jaedong video that I cast up and posted a while ago. So I think another one similar to that is probably what we're going to go with. Anyway, what are we doing? Obviously going for a cybernetic score because you can't really do Zealots against Terran unless you go early Zealot pressure. Like really, really early Zealot pressure in a proxy situation, you can cause them some major problems. But that's not what we're doing here at all. It's not a proxy. He's just throwing his stuff inside the main base. The Terran player is trying not to get supply blocked, finished up his barracks, and is going to follow up with a very, very quick factory and get that Vulture production going. Vulture's harassment, really, really good, really great against our Zealots as well. SCV running around. Probe checking to see, is this like checking for proxies or maybe trying to hide some tech? Quite possibly here. I'm not sure what that probe was up to, but it seemed like he was trying to sneak a little bit. Rain is obviously going for Singularity Charge. If you don't do that early versus Terran, you're going to die. Like, there are just a few things in this matchup that you really have to do every time or you're going to die. One is opening Dragoons. The other one is getting range for Dragoons. If you don't do either of these things, if you skip one of these things, you're going to be out there. So keep that in mind, Protoss players. Make it happen. And for a Rascal, it's going to be Mac. It's always going to be Mac. It's going to be Mac every day of the week just because Bio does pretty poorly against Protoss. Storm is really fantastic against Bio. Reavers are amazing against Bio. We've seen it before. I did end up casting a 2v2 featuring, is it Straylock? I think Straylock was involved. Belladonna. If you look for Straylock on my channel, you'll find it as that SCV gets picked off by the Dragoon, but it was a 2v2, and it really forced a Terran player to go Bio to deal with what the Zerg player was doing, but the Zerg's teammate was going Protoss. So he had Storms, and man, that Storm, you think it tears through Hydralisks and tears through Lings? It tears through Marines and Firebats and Medics too. So that's why you just don't generally see it. It's just not viable, and besides, tanks are incredible against everything on the ground. Anything. Against these Dragoons, the Zealots get eaten up and cleaned up by Vultures. We've seen Flash do this over and over again. It's not as easy as he makes it seem, as some people are very fond of telling me in the comments, is that, nah man, the Terran is not favored over Protoss. Flash just makes it look that way. So, we'll see. We'll see how this Rascal fellow can do against our friend Rain. Both players are hovering, well, Rascal's around 200 APM, Rain is flirting with 300. So he's playing a little bit faster, but again, in the early stages, there's not that much to do. You're really just spamming and trying to warm up your fingers for that mid game and the late game. You can actually use 300 APM in that situation, especially in a game where you can't hotkey multiple production facilities together. You have to go to each one individually and build units. and trying not to queue them up and coming back around and always making workers and always having to drag them over to the minerals, over to the gas. There's a lot of stuff that goes into playing Brood War that you kind of take for granted. You don't think about it unless you play yourself, and it's easy to forget. Vulture Speed coming on in. Saren is working her Rain. I keep calling him Saren, but it's definitely Rain. Rain is just finishing up his natural base, and there's the warp in that way, going for a robotics facility, which, probably for observers, if I had to guess what we're going to see here. Just observers for detection, observers for scouting to see exactly what the Terran player is up to, and honestly, at this point, it's tanks. Obviously, yeah, the others are observatory, so definitely going to be observers first out of the Protoss. Now, no. We have seen Protoss players beat Flash on the channel before. I'm not going to tell you which one it was unless you really want to know. Tell me in the comments, and I'll link you to it. So we've seen it happen. And it was a Protoss who basically zerged. He basically just went straight Zealot Dragoon, made so many of them, and kept throwing them at those tank lines and throwing them at the vultures and coming in from different angles and catching the tanks unsieged. And it was a massively impressive display of what you can do against a meching Terran. You just have to play like the Zerg. It's weird. It's very weird, I know, but it's totally doable. All right, so Vultures cruising on out on their Vulture bikes, wearing brown bodysuits to match the brown bikes they were given today. It's always nice they color coordinate, right? Although I assume it's a uniform. You're a Vulture bike and you're in the military. You probably don't get to choose what you wear. It'd be cool, though, if one showed up wearing like a purple jumpsuit and riding a brown bike one day. They're like, yeah, what are you looking at? He would say, because that's what Vultures look at. All right, man. Rain is going for a third base. He's got enough Dragoons to deal with a bunch of Vultures here. And sure, this base might be a little bit under attack, but nope. Ow. Okay, do you have any Spider Mines? Or nope, we're just speeding. Spider Mines is not done yet. And a bunch of those Vultures just died without getting Spider Mines off. That was huge. That was a huge pickup for Rain, killing those Vultures before they can get any Spider Mines down. I mean, one of the first things a Vulture captain, Vulture bike guy will do is chop down and toss down his Spider Mines as soon as he can, because who knows when he's going to die. Who knows when his date of expiration will be. I certainly do not, nor have I ever. And if you die with your Spider Mines, you can't give them to your friends, is generally how that works. Rascal's getting a third base down here too. Again, the thirds on this map do not have gas here on Circuit Breakers. So it's going to be mineral production, which really, I think, hurts Rascal more than it hurts Rain. Rain has a mineral dump and Zealots. Dragoons aren't super gas heavy in requirements, whereas tanks are pretty darn gas heavy. Science vessels are very gas heavy too. You're going to want those for EMPs. And again, Vultures are your mineral dump. But otherwise, it's a lot of gas spending here from day to day to day. Yep, I mean, it's just, I don't know what to tell you. It's mech. It's armories in production. Actually going for a Templar Archives up here. Are we hiding up here with this? We definitely are. Oh, that probe is stuck in amongst these 4 buildings. Sorry, probe. You're probably not getting out of there. Have a nice day. Clearing out Spider Mines. Doop. Dragoons. Doing a pretty good job of that. And wow, going for a quick 4th here too. So man, Rain is being allowed to do pretty much whatever he wants at the stage. He's got observers in great positions to scout out what the heck Rascal is up to. Not that there's really too much of a surprise, as I said before. But scouting when Vultures are moving out, Dragoons get into position to deal with that. We've got some Dragoons holding that ramp, those 2 ramps leading on into the natural base. As Vultures got in there, it'd be pretty catastrophic. But yeah, man, I mean, this is kind of what Light did, right? The Protoss, who won that game, and it's just you expand really fast to get so many gateways. You get Arbiters out pretty quickly here, too. There were Arbiters involved in that game. And then just a bunch of Zealots. Start making your Zealot production. You got to get Zealot legs. Where are your Zealot legs? Good friend. I mean, you have... I can't tell if you have the upgrade or not. I haven't seen it. But obviously you have the tech to go for it. We'll keep an eye on that one. We'll keep an eye on that. Faux show. Rascal tossing up his own 4th base at the 6 o'clock position. So we are just expanding at about the same times. Army supply is staying fairly similar. 99 to 118. Rain has more stuff, but Rascal stuff is more cost efficient. So that is your trade-off there. Arbiter on the way at 9 minutes with stasis being researched immediately and 3 more gateways being added on to the production facilities here for Rain. All right, man. I have heard you guys. I've seen you in the comments recently saying to zoom out a little bit more during the battles. So I'm definitely going to zoom out a bit during the battles here at the very least. Maybe zoom in if I want to see a detail or something, but enough that we can see everything that's going on. Whether there's a flank attack from the south or some kind of a storm on the right side or, you know, something just happening just off camera that really should not happen again. Gonna do our best on that one. So yeah, this has been a pretty ineffective, well, uneventful opening stage, but nope, here we go. Again, Vultures getting caught out in the open by these Dragoons. They're wrecking them really, really nicely. And I mean, sure, you're trying to, are there enough actually to win this? Is the question of the day. By golly, it looks like there may be enough Vultures just to crush through these Dragoons that are trying to delay here. Oh, coming up the backside to catch them. More reinforcements. Some of these guys are pretty injured already, and bam, they do end up going down. So great response there from Rain, delaying just long enough for these guys to come back around and pick those guys off. They're so annoying to deal with. Protoss really, really hate having to deal with these super, super zippy bikes. They can wipe out your probe line in half a second if you're not quite prepared to handle it. Once again, chasing Vultures away, not a big deal. Exactly what you want to be doing here. So far, so good. And I don't know that Rascal really cares about losing them all that much. Free probe there. In exchange for a Vulture, though. And yet another one. So, Pylon comes up. I think the Pylons are generally just for scouting. Spider Mines are kind of that way, too. They do provide vision, but they will murder stuff and commit suicide to do so if anybody does come their way. Rascal's working on additional upgrades for his tanks and for his Vultures. If we look at this, where are we with this one? We got the +1 attack. So working on +2 attack and +1 armor coming up this left side. Man, is Rain going to take this top left position too? He's warping in a 5th base at 11 minutes. These players have some kind of a weird no rush 20 rule going on. You guys remember doing no rush 20s back in the day, back in Brood War, back in the late 90s, early 2000s? I did those. I was always bored by them, though. I never really understood the excitement of just sitting back and building up a huge army for 20 minutes. Spider Mine, might have gotten a hit off there. It's really hard to tell sometimes if damage came from the Spider Mine or from earlier. But we'll do our best. We'll do our best on that one, too. So there's your Zealot legs on the way, going for recall. Yep, recall for Arbiters. That is generally something that players do try to do, is recall into the Terran base and wipe out their production facilities and slow them down in some way that way. But it just hasn't really worked in the past that I've seen, so we'll see if that's a play or not. EMP being researched by Rascal. He is going for those science vessels as before mentioned, and by golly, Rain. Rain has another base warping in. He's got 6 bases. He has almost every base on the top half of the map right now, which is just bonkers. He's been allowed to do whatever he wants. He's maxed out here at 12 minutes. As Protoss in Brood War. That's insane. That really shows how much he's been left alone. By golly, he has so many probes too. I mean, he's fully saturating so many different bases right now. A lot of that supply that he's at 196 for is in probes. It's allowing him to max out, allowing him to start to build up a bank, both of minerals and of gas. And maybe weather the storm a little bit. Like, weather some of these attacks that Rascal's going to throw at him. Rascal, in fairness, is turtling like I've never seen a turtle before. Look at all these turrets and all these tanks and these supply depots along the left side. This is why Rain has been allowed to expand as he has. It's that Rascal is investing everything into effectively being a 4-base Terran and saying, come break it. Come break it if you can. You're not getting through that with an Arbiter, that's for sure. This really feels like fastest map ever stuff. That Arbiter trying to get down here, maybe making it happen. There are so many Spider Mines on the ground, though. You warp in an army, you recall in an army, and they just get obliterated by those Spider Mines. It's kind of amazing. Yeah, Rain's like, all right, cool. We're going to play this game. I'm going to go for 7 bases in the first 14 minutes. I'm going to get up a huge bank. Trying to break this is going to cause me problems. It's going to make me lose units. I will be able to replace them almost instantly because of the bank that I have and the additional income that I have. And Rain is expanding again. He's going to take every base that he can. Every one that is not already set up here by Rascal. And I mean, Rascal, he doesn't really seem intent on moving out at all. He's sitting here with his 227 APM. I mean, he's building stuff. He's doing a great job maxing out himself at 198 supply. But boy, howdy, that's another base. Rascal is dealing with an 8-basing Protoss. That cannot be good for him at all. Rain he's dancing. He's taking tank shots. He's like, yeah, this is about what I expected. This is really, really, really tight and a really difficult thing to break here. Rain is actually going for Storm. which is something we saw in that game too, is Storm on tanks and Storm on Goliaths and Vultures. And kind of do some stuff. I mean, every time there's a tank fire here, really feel like Rain needs to get out is the thing. +2/+1 on the mech. Ground units for Protoss are sitting at +2 attack, and that's about it. They are working on +1 armor, which is nice. The Vulture is cruising down this left side. Oh, didn't wall off the ramp. Didn't wall off the ramp. There is a lot of these are a lot of cannons. They're getting focused down by these Vultures. Is he just going to give up on this base? Probably should just give up on this base. There are some cannons doing some damage here. 2 cannons actually. When you have this many Vultures, they're not good against buildings, but if you outnumber them this much, you're going to be just fine, and all of the cannons do get wiped out. Some Dragoons come up to try to deal with these dudes. And they will. I mean, the +2 nature of the Dragoons is pretty great here against Vultures in general. Rain dancing around the outside here. Yeah, I mean, at this point, you just wall off the front. Get some cannons back here. Get some pylons up at the top of the ramp, and it's pretty much Vulture-proof unless you want to drop them, which I don't know. Whoa! Rain is going hallucinate. Okay, so as I was saying, this reminds me of fastest map ever, where basically Terrans can wall off like this. Actually, no, we're pushing out. So we're going to storm some of these tanks. We're going to get the Zealots in on top of it with the cloak. Wipe out some of those guys. And, just pull back. This is not a good place for you. Yep, Rain is pulling back from this position. Doesn't like what he sees all that much. So you hallucinate a ton of Arbiters and send them through these missile turret lines. And yours is likely going to survive because there are like 8 others that the missile turrets are going to get confused by. And then you get it in here, and then you go ahead and recall and do your thing. That might be what we're going for right now. We'll have to see if Rain goes for that strategy or not. I assume he has played fastest map ever maps before. But he's not walling off that ramp. Rain, man. Rain, you got to watch out for it, buddy. I really think you do. Nice stasis. Catching a couple of those science vessels and a couple of Vultures, too. Kind of slowing down the progress here of Rascal's ginormous mech army with +2/+1 there. Both players are fully maxed out, but again, Rain is sucking all of the resources dry. Rascal manages to take a base on the right side. That's why the army's moving up, is to actually take possession of another base. Over on that right side, High Templar going for storms, getting picked off by Vultures there, though. Doing concussive damage. Explosive damage is done by tanks. Yeah, but the concussive is so dang good against things like probes, things like other SCVs, and drones, and light units like Zerglings and Zealots, and Marines, and other Vultures and stuff. But yeah, Rascal manages to take this base. Now suddenly goes from a defensive position to a seriously offensive position right now, and Rain, I'm not sure he knows what to do about this. He's evacuated his third, so there's nothing there at all. Got some Zealots chasing. Oh, there we go. So they wiped out that base quite nicely, but trading a base for a base here, Rain can afford to do this. Rain can afford to trade a base for a base, and he's going to do that definitely here. This Nexus is going to die. This base is under fire here, too. Again, the probes got transferred around to places where it is safe to mine. And then Rain just kind of taking the fight down here in places where there aren't quite as many tanks present. So trying to stasis these dudes, doing pretty well at it. Only 3 tanks remaining. One of them is not even in siege. So you're going to wipe out what's left here. Meanwhile, tanks setting up on another Nexus as Rascal's march across Rain's bases continues fairly unabated here. There's really nothing challenging them at all. Defensive Matrix up on one of these tanks. And yeah, Goliaths are here. Goliaths are chasing after those Arbiters. They don't have Charon boosters yet. In fact, I don't even see it being researched either. I wonder if Rascal's going to go for that or not. Rascal continuing to pump stuff up from the south to the north. So wiping out 3 bases is a pretty decent attack here from Rascal, if I do have to be honest with you. All right, Rascal decides, hey, there's stuff in the bottom left. There's stuff up here, too. I had no idea that Rain had expanded so extensively here. Let's go ahead and wipe out what we can right now. I wonder if Rain didn't overmake probes and doesn't have the army to deal with this. So Storm coming down on these Vultures as they try to come through here. Trying to wipe out the Science Vessel here, too. Actually EMPing both of those High Templar. And now the tanks are present. Now your cannons are pretty much useless. Vultures wandering in here are pretty stupid. Ah, the recall, though, on top of these guys. I don't know if there are enough. These tanks, the tank count is too high. The Dragoons are getting wiped out right now. Yeah, man, Rascal is pretty much unopposed. He's down to 198 to 184 supply, but he's wiping out bases. He's slowing down Rain's income quite nicely. The thing is that Rain has an insane income, and he's replacing the bases that he's lost here, too. These all just spider mines. Some of them are tanks. It's hard to tell in the minimap. It's all the same size. Spider mines should have a smaller size on the minimap, I think. Smaller dot size. Another storm attempt here. We're not really doing all that much. But Dragoons trying to get on top of these tanks, but they do manage to get into siege mode first, and no. Not at all. Not going to happen. Another great recall with the cloak on top of these units and trying to get on top of the tanks. The Zealot's doing pretty well against them. And yes, it looks like this bit is going to go ahead and get wiped out. These tanks back here are a bit of a bigger problem. And as a result, Rain's not going to be able to do much about that. He is definitely losing some Dragoons in the process, though. Yeah, man. I mean, these tanks, they are ready and raring to go. They got +3 attack. This Arbiter, 2 Arbiters are firing on these guys. They don't do much damage. But hey, it's honest damage, right? Yes, yes, it totally is. 18 Dragoons in progress right now. Saren's making all of the stuff. Decent stasis in some of these tanks, and then the recall is the follow-up. Again, with the cloak, but it doesn't really matter here. Again, there are science vessels around. Your cloak is not very useful at that stage. Zealots do have +2 armor. I'd like to see them maybe get +3 if you can. But man, this has been the spot of the battle for the last little while here. Rain is sitting on a 1,000 bank, which is pretty fantastic. He has managed to replace this base along the left side that he lost. Hasn't managed to replace his 3rd base or his 4th base at the stage, but I assume we'll get there. There's a bunch of units in stasis that just last for a while, and we'll see how Rain positions his units to get in there and kill them before they come out of stasis with some reinforcements. They might not actually have any at all based on, good spider mine hits. The fact there is no brown around. And that was a pretty big victory there. I mean, yeah, man, that's a lot of tanks wiped out. 200 to 182 supply. Rain is looking okay. Okay at this stage of the game. I mean, yeah, Rascal is going to start getting mined out, guys. His main base is done. His natural base is done. His 3rd base is looking pretty healthy. But nope, this is going to run out very, very, very soon as well. Another major engagement along this right side. Rain is going to try to wipe out Rascal's base on this right side. Great stasis is going down. Dragoons and Zealots trying to get on top of these units as best as they can. And yeah, man, catching 4 of those tanks was huge, but more tanks continuing to reinforce up here from the south. And it is going to chase Rain back. Rain is forced to get on out. And Rascal hangs on to this base, which is all important to him right now. He effectively has 2 mining bases, which is going to be really, really important to him. Rain has about 1 billion is the difference here right now. He could still expand here if he wanted to here too. But he's keeping the safer ones, the ones he can afford to lose, and he'll expand there later if necessary. I mean, we definitely still have some time to go here, ladies and gentlemen. We have set up on different sides of the map. The income by Rain is just higher. Rascal is running a ton of minerals, but you can only make so many vultures before you start wanting some tanks. So he's maxed out. He really, well, 192, 194 supply. Close enough. Close enough in that sense. Rain coming on down again, north to south. Defensive matrix gets tossed up on top of that tank, trying to do what they can versus the enemy. Great stasises, but the vulture count is so sneaking high, but there's a ton of Dragoons here as well. The back and forth is insane. The tanks are getting huge shots off. More defensive matrix getting tossed down on the right side on that tank, and once again, Rain is forced to retreat. He's trying to break this, but it's not really working. In the meantime, some SCVs are coming on up to go ahead and free up supply. Rascal doesn't need these anymore, and as a result, they will be thrown mercilessly into the cannons here. Good golly, I'm not sure that was the expected result, but that is what we're seeing here regardless. Yeah, +3 Dragoons, they just don't have any mercy for you. They do have +2 armor here too. Rascal at 161 supply, which means he can make more Goliaths and more tanks. Goliaths to try to take down these Archons, if at all terribly possible. Another attack count down here to the left, trying to make something happen, but not a whole lot. I mean, we are almost out of gas here. Definitely out of minerals here, too. And this is it. This is your mining location for Rascal right now. It is looking pretty healthy. It's got 1,000 minerals on each of these patches, at least. The Vespian gas geyser has 4,000 gas on it. Once again, Rain's going for it, y'all. He's coming from the north. He's just not... I don't know about this. Great stasis catching that science vessel, by the way. That was amazing stuff. Charon booster is being used by the Goliaths now versus the Arbiters. There are just not enough Dragoons here. It's like a 1-to-1 ratio, tank to Dragoon, and that's never going to get it done if you're the Protoss. Not even a tiny bit. Zealots do wander down to wipe out this 12 o'clock, or 6 o'clock position, rather, of Rascals. Wiping out some of these SCVs, slowing down that gas income just a little bit is going to be pretty darn useful. But yeah, getting some stuff done. 3 kills on that Zealot before he gets wiped out. Rascal in the middle of the map, continuing to try to make this thing happen versus Rain, continuing to be at a huge disadvantage economically. 1 mining base compared to 1, 2, 3, 4, and a new base coming in right now. Maybe even 6 if you want to count this one from Rain. It's insane. It's insane what Rain has been able to do here economically, but he's just not making good trades is the problem. Ah, Vultures do find your new base along the left side. Going to wipe it out. That's a cancel. If an eye ever saw one, and still not really bothering to wall off this ramp, surprisingly enough. Rain, I'm not sure what he's up to there. I mean, it'll take a while, but this is going to be a cancel. I just don't see any way that Rain gets units down here in time to shut it down. Maybe they will. Maybe this Dragoon can actually distract them long enough to where they can't actually force a cancel. That would be amazing. Spider-Mine's wiping out Zealots as the army comes down desperately to try to save this Nexus. Rascal coming in from the right side. Brought tanks up. If you can force them into siege mode, you're going to have a pretty good time. And this Dragoon has 4 kills and ends up saving the Nexus. That is absolutely hilarious. The Nexus comes up on fire immediately with exactly 231 hit points remaining and some shields, but not many. Rascal coming on in. Storm's chasing those dudes away, catching some science vessels with their EMPs there. Yep, some decent EMPs there, removing all the shields off a lot of these units. The army for Rain is kind of forced to come down here to the south a little bit. He's out of position. He is getting a bit of a concave surround here with Rascal's units, and he is just looking so incredibly strong. Does he have all the upgrades? He better have all the upgrades. He's got 3-3, which is all that really matters here. He has no armor on his science vessels, but that's not really the priority. At this stage of the game, heading up to the north, Rascal's just been trying to wipe out as many bases as he can. And he's been doing a pretty good job of it. He's got the high ground with tanks and vultures in range of this Nexus. The probes just flee. The probes are like, you know what? We're going to saturate this space now. Thank you for asking, and thank you for being concerned about our well-being. Another attack from Rain, trying to make it happen versus these tanks. This looks like a better number of Dragoons. Good number of Storms here, getting some damage done too, but they're just not enough. It's always just not enough Dragoons here at all. I mean, the thing is, you can afford to make good trades because you have the better income. You can afford to lose some bases if you have that many more bases than your opponent. Actually, what did you guys saturate? This base, maybe? Might have oversaturated this top left-hand base a little bit. Ah, love this soundtrack. This is a good one. This is a good track for sure. Okay, Rascal, he's bouncing, guys. He really doesn't want to stay in one place too long. He's heading north, south, east, and west, starting to mine out of this right side base just a little bit. About half the minerals remaining as there were before. He's on a bit of a ticking time clock. As a Zealot does, or Zealots, you take out the tank that wiped out this 12 o'clock base of Rain, so that was a pretty major victory, and this base is gone too. So this base that was saved by the Valiant Dragoon along the left side is done. And I think this base in the bottom left might have a lot of problems here, too. There's a lot of gateways here. They are producing units to try to defend this. But Rascal just leaving some units behind. He doesn't want to go up that ramp, I guess. He hasn't really wanted to go up skinny ramps at all throughout this entire game. He hasn't tried to go up this ramp. He hasn't tried to go up this ramp. Or this ramp. And maybe that's why Terran expanded to these locations as fast as he did. He knew he could hold the ramp. Some vultures coming right on in just to a huge group of Dragoons. Major, major problems for that. Once again, I keep thinking these are brown units. These are Rascal, and they're units. But they're just spider mines. That's all they are. Nothing to worry about. I mean, if you're a probe anyway. If you're something else. Ah, look at this. Look at this play. Okay. So we've got this going. Hallucinated Arbiters. So that they draw the fire. They tank for the real Arbiter. And allows for the recall to happen. So probes getting wiped out here. I don't know about these probes. Okay, some of them got out. 2. If by that you mean 2, Falcon. Yeah, here we go. Coming on in. Try not to take too much damage. And yeah, man. Here comes the recall right inside the production of Rascal here. Rain trying to get some damage done against these factories. Trying to deal with the tanks and the vultures that are coming in to respond against this. He can't lose these factories. Rascal really would hate for that to happen. And are we getting enough done right now? Supply depots? Maybe. I don't know. Rascal's responding to this pretty appropriately. It's working out. Maybe a couple supply depots die here, but really nothing major at all. You're going to supply block. You're not going to supply block Rascal with this. Maybe one of the factories die, but why not focus that one down? Yeah. That was okay. And when it wasn't great. And another recall, though. Okay, so stasis on a couple of these tanks. And then the remaining tanks that are coming on in here. And you know what? 1, 2, maybe 4 of these factories, no problem. Rascal is heading down the left side. Maybe try to go for a bit of a revenge attack here. Some Goliaths coming out of the factories immediately dying as soon as they come out. If you can kill all of these supply depots, that's a better situation, I think. I really think that'd be amazing. Tanks at the 12 o'clock position. Going to wipe out this Nexus again. Again, you guys. That base is going to go down for the 3rd or 4th time. Storm's trying to save this left side, but this is a huge group of Terran. And yeah, man, Rascal is heavily supply blocked right now. 149 out of 112 available supply. There are a couple tanks here trying to defend, but a lot of factories are going to die here too. And Rascal, I think, is just going for it. I think this is a go for it type situation. Once again, coming up the ramp is not something he wants to do, but in a desperation scenario, he will. So this Nexus is gone. These gateways are getting hit. The factory count is down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. 9 of them or so. He's starting to get mined out here on this right side base too. Not looking good for him that way. This has been more of an effective little recall than I was expecting it to be for sure. The Dragoons are getting kind of caught up and trying to kill these tanks, which is just a fool's errand. Just kill the factories, man. Kill the factories. There's a great scan, though. And that's your good game. Rascal taps out. He taps out. He's fully supply blocked. He's down 117 to 173 supply. This attack from the north is looking pretty great for Rain 2. And coming up this ramp is not something that Rascal feels comfortable doing, even though he has a million tanks. But he knows this base exists, this base exists, this base is back. I mean, I don't know if you can play Turtle Terran against somebody who is as good at this game. As good at this game as Rain is. There's nothing you can do about it, man. You can't turtle here. You're going to get out expanded. The number of Nexuses killed in this game has got to be 10. Maybe 11. I mean, this one died, I think, twice. This one died 2 or 3 times. This one died twice. This one, I think, died once. This one died. I mean, it adds up to a lot of dead Nexuses. But yeah, man, that was just, again, it's kind of the Zerg style. Out-expand your Terran opponent, lose a ton of stuff, but have more stuff to continue to throw at him over and over and over. Maybe get a drop inside his main, wipe out some of his facilities, and maybe some of his supply, his production, and you're going to have a good time. I mean, I think maybe Rascal tapped out a little bit early, if you want my honest opinion about this. I don't like that he tapped out at this stage. He has a lot of tanks. I guess this group here is what I'm really confused about. This is fully upgraded, a whole ton of tanks. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 11. 11 fully upgraded tanks here. They're going to wipe out this bottom left-hand base, but again, I guess we go back to the problem being there are so many other mining bases up right now for Rain. This engagement is going poorly for him. This engagement is going okay for Rascal, as this tank has 7 kills, 5 kills, and 5 kills each. They've been pretty cost-efficient. But, I don't know, lost the factories, lost the supply, didn't want to have to take time to rebuild those, I guess, and just tapped out. So, fair enough, Rascal. I thought maybe you had a better position, better handle on it than you did. But sometimes it's a little bit too much to overcome, and you're done. So, overall, pretty great game. Rain's strategy was pretty flawless. Expand your face off, continue to throw stuff at Rascal. If he wants to move out, maybe make some inefficient trades, but keep making him over and over and over, and try to keep that tank count down as best you can. Obviously, use your spells, Stasis and Storm, and upgrades on your friendly Dragoons and Zealots, and you can get the win. Q. Let's check out that final score. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, you know what? Rain lost a ton of stuff. 395 Protoss units is a lot of units to lose, but killed 521. So, I mean, as far as units killed, he was pretty cost efficient there. Killed more than he lost anyway. Structures raised. It was a pretty razy style of battle here. Pretty close on both counts. There are about 50 units or buildings raised. And then resources. Here's the story as it usually is. 26,000 gas mined to 17,000 gas mined for Rain. 76 minerals mined to 57 minerals mined. And overall, spending almost 100,000 resources to 73,000 spent by Rascal. That's it. You can be cost efficient with your tanks. You can use your vultures to run in and get stuff done. But at the end of the day, even with cost efficient trades, if you get outspent like that, it's going to be very hard to win at this level of StarCraft against somebody who is as good as you are and maybe better. So GG, a really fun TVP, and that's going to be it from me. So this has been Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.